Hi, you've clicked onto today's tropical tidbit for Wednesday. Over here in the Atlantic, we got Carl moving inland over the Yucatan, so we'll be coming across the Bay of Campeche and hitting Mexico a second time, probably as a minimal hurricane, a Cat 1 hurricane coming into the coast. Once it comes across, this strengthened very rapidly into nearly a hurricane. Even before coming into the Yucatan, it had an eye wall on radar and a very nice presentation, so you can see the potential for this to wind up very fast when it comes out the other side. And the east coast of Mexico over here should be ready for a pretty potent storm by the time it gets across. And over here we have Igor, and this is really cool because we got Julia over here, and these are both Cat 4 hurricanes. This has only happened once before in history, and then only for 6 hours. This is likely to happen for more than 6 hours if Igor can maintain Cat 4 status over here. Two Cat 4 hurricanes simultaneously in the Atlantic. Julia is also the record-breaking farthest east hurricane to ever hit Cat 4 status, and this is really sending the ACE index through the roof for the Atlantic right now. This is definitely adding up the numbers now. And this is really funny with Julia. I just want to show you something that I find pretty hilarious. This is Julia right now. Okay, this is this morning's visible picture. This is 24 hours ago. Can you guess what the difference is here? The NHC intensity, here's the Cape Verde Islands over here, you can see how far east she is. The NHC intensity for this, okay, 60 knot tropical storm, Cat 4 hurricane. Rather, I mean, come on guys, look at that. Okay, geez, Cat 4 tropical storm. The reality is this is probably a 2 in here, and no really rapid intensification occurred. This gradually became a 4 during the last 24 hours. It wasn't exploding like some unexpected feat over here. This was not a 60 knot storm, and this was not a rapid bomb out in intensification. Just thought I'd show you that. Pretty funny. This is the European ensembles. Day 6 over here, and you can see Igor trying to recurve out. My cursor you cannot see over here, but you can see him trying to recurve out on the ensemble mean. But notice some of the members leaning back over here to the southwest, showing the storm trying to hang back. And I'm going to show you now the Canadian day 5 over here. Notice where the storm is, and you wonder what would happen if the storm is a little farther back and slower, because the error on the models have been consistently too far northeast with this throughout its lifetime. So if you imagine those errors continuing in small amounts over the next few days, you can imagine this being a little slower and back here to the southwest, as opposed to being up here, the two different locations shown by the ensemble mean. So we go out to day 6 over here. You can see that if it races off to the northeast, it's going to try to recurve out. But if it's a little slower and the errors from the models continue to be consistent, you can see it more back here. And this is already west of Bermuda by the time it gets to 30 north. And then watch what happens. We go out to day 7, and all of a sudden you have some of the members showing it recurving, but then look at half of the red numbers down here. The other half is all the way back here. And we go out to day 8, and look at this. This is a little bit concerning over here, right? We weren't seeing this on the ensemble mean yesterday, but it was shown several days before that, and I was talking about the pattern, how it is still possible this comes farther west. Some of them recurve it, half of them keep it down here. I mean, look at the bulge in the isobar over here. Pretty potent mean shown on the model over here. And it's not hard to imagine how this happens. This is the 500 millibar day 5. Here's the storm in here. Notice the big polar vortex up coming across Canada, and see the strong jet underneath means that this is not going to just dig in like this and pick up the storm. Instead, this is coming right across and on out. And it's really not hard to imagine that if Igor is slower and back here as opposed to up here, this lifts out, the ridge builds back in over the top, and this is 3 days later, and there's your storm sitting under there. And this is something that we continue to keep an eye on. I think Bermuda is still most at risk for this, but I do think there's still a good chance this goes west of Bermuda, because this pattern is fragile, and you can see what happens over here. I'll give you one more look at it. This is the NAIFS day 5. Here's where the ensemble mean has the storm, but see the members hanging back slower and farther south with this. Alright, so we go out to day 6. Storm recurves, but look at the other half behind, sitting with the variance down here. And day 8, check this out. And that's very similar to what this is showing over here. See the location of the storm, and the location of the storm. So half of the NAIFs and Canadian ensemble members seeing this, and the ridge builds over the top, and this is almost the extreme case where the southeast U.S. has to worry about this again if the storm really is in here. But we'll just keep a wary eye on this. I still think this goes east of the United States, but west of Bermuda, unlike the model consensus, which, by the way, has already had to shift west. Yesterday it was all east of Bermuda, very close to Bermuda, but it's still east. They are now west, trending west of Bermuda barely. I think they will continue to trend west a little bit. And it's not going to be hard to get this back to 70 west, or possibly even farther if a scenario like this unfolds. Because this isn't some big amplified trough digging in. This is a strong jet to the north and a zonal flow. Such a situation can set up a lot of uncertainty, so we will be keeping an eye on such things. Looking over here at Africa, Igor, Julia, and notice how active the intertropical convergence zone is down here. We're going to have to be watching this area for possible low development over the next couple of days, and the models have been hinting at a low developing in here, spinning up and coming into the Caribbean, especially the GFS, which has been locking onto this very strongly, and this is going to be part of the pattern where we watch for the Southwest Atlantic Basin lighting up. We already have Carl in the Caribbean moving into the Yucatan right now, but look what starts to happen. The GFS upward motion forecast, notice where we've had the downward motion. This has been the story for the Caribbean during most of the heart of the hurricane season. You have these oranges and downward motion here. The upward motion is confined over here near Africa and the Eastern Atlantic, where the Cape Verde season has been going completely wild. But watch how this turns around days 5 to 15. All the greens start showing up in the Caribbean over here. And this is going to be the beginning of the pattern change, which I think is coming, is that by the end of this month you're going to see the Cape Verde season start winding down, which is very normal when we start getting past the peak of the season. Waters start cooling, wind shear starts increasing in the Eastern Atlantic. Cape Verde train will start to shut down. You'll see less storms coming out like this. Instead, the action will shift farther west. You get the storms forming farther west. The tracks are in turn farther west, and we start threatening land even more. And you can see what the GFS is doing out here day 15 on the ensemble mean. Big area of sub 1008 millibar pressures, basically telling you there's going to be a big hurricane in the Southwest Atlantic Basin in this area in 2 weeks by the end of the month. I do think that the final week of September has a good chance of this scenario panning out. And now that we've got a system trying to form in here, if we see something come up here that we can track, we're definitely going to be concerned about this. And the pattern aloft is such that this could come in all the way to here, and then it could threaten this entire area anywhere from Texas to east of Florida over here, depending on how things evolve. But this is definitely a pattern that we want to be wary of and be keeping an eye out for. So really active hurricane season going on right now. Lots of activity out here. Bermuda needs to watch Igor very closely. We'll keep an eye out to see if he hopefully goes farther west of them. And Carl is hitting Mexico, and Julia is off to the fishes. So we will keep an eye out for any potential threats to our shores down the road. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching.